represent in the past many years have not witnessed development, as you can call it. Many communities have no water, they have no roads, they have no this. As we have a government, the government of the state has now touched all the local government with one infrastructure or the other. So also we are doing across this. And this is what we think our people need. This is what we are delivering. And this is what we want everybody to focus on. We are just 2 years out of 4 years. So it's not time for politicking and anything. And to emphasize finally what he said again, for any electionary process, there must be coming together, there must be resource mobilization, and there must be resource utilization. I want to assure you that during the elections, there was nothing about anybody going away with any money. Every resources that was put together was used effectively.
The lawmakers also denied division in the party and insisted that issues between the state governor and the Minister of Information and Culture, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, is just personality clash, which does not infringe on the unity of Kwara APC, and expressed optimism that such differences will soon be resolved. Former Minister of Finance, Kemi Adeosun, has reacted to the court ruling on the case involving her participation in the National Youth Service Corps, NYSC. Adeosun said the ruling vindicates her after what she described as a very traumatic spell. She described the situation as victory not only for her, but for many Nigerians in the diaspora under similar conditions who desire to serve their country. The former Minister of Finance said that in light of the court's ruling, she would, at the appropriate time and without hesitation, take all further steps necessary within the law to protect her reputation. Elsewhere, Taraba State Governor Darius Ishiaku says that as part of the country's efforts to combat insecurity, members of the National Youth Service Corps, NYSC, should be allowed to undergo military training. The governor also said the scheme should be extended to 2 years, with the first involving core military training. NYSC, which runs for a year, was designed by the Nigerian government in 1973 to encourage nation building among graduates. But the governor believes that an extension of the duration would better equip graduates with self-defense techniques, especially at a time like this when national insecurity is rife. The governor also reacted to the insurgency and banditry that have ravaged the northeast and northwest regions of the country, noting that he has repeatedly asked security agencies who the sponsors of the criminal elements are. And back home now, a university don at the University of Ibadan has reiterated that for the country Nigeria to survive the next century, Nigeria's democratic struggle and structure must be more respectful towards the lives and struggles of the Nigerian people. Professor Olutayo Adesina, a scholar and historian, disclosed this yesterday in Ibadan while delivering a lecture titled In Search of a Nigerian Dream, in celebration of the 82nd birthday of the founding chairman of the West Midlands Communication Limited, Chief Muritala Adebayo Akonde, MR. Professor Adesina, who noted that the Nigerian situation is worrisome as things have decayed to a level where Nigerian youths now have better faith in other countries than Nigeria, added that the ruling elite have also been complicit in underdeveloping Nigeria's democracy and the rule of law. The guest lecturer, while identifying the removal of the study of history from school curriculum in Nigeria for 30 years as a major setback, called for constant talk about the nation's present reality in relation to her past and in anticipation for the future.
To recreate a new Nigeria. Because when you look at other countries of the world that our children are running to now, some people built those countries. And it is also possible to have a new Nigeria. What we need to do is to rededicate ourselves to the rebuilding process. And part of the rebuilding process has to do with understanding the fault lines, understanding the problems, understanding all the issues at stake, and also helping our compatriots to understand what their failure to rebuild this country is doing to all of us. It is traumatizing all of us.
Chairman of the occasion and Agbaoye of Ibadan land, Chief Kola Karim, while delivering his speech, appreciated the organizers of the lecture as he stated that the topic, In Search of a Nigerian Dream, is not only important but pertinent at a time like this in which Nigeria is going through a lot. He disclosed that there must be a solid connection between the government, the people and the youth, especially as the efforts and character of this present generation must be harnessed to get the nation to its future.
The Nigeria of our dreams just speaks itself of the message that the Nigeria of today has a lot to desire. There's a lot of work to be done. We have heard from the history of the past, amalgamation. We heard of the history of post-independence. And now we've heard and gone through the history of what the future would look like. Even with all the bleakness, there's a lot to be done and that needs to be put together for the future of Nigerians and generations to come.
In her address, the Chief Executive Officer, Mrs. Atinuke Aditunji, said West Midlands Communication Limited, owners of Splash FM 105.5 and Lagelu 96.7 FM, have remained committed to the development of the host city Ibadan and will not relent in educating, informing and entertaining its audience within and outside the shores of Nigeria. The event climaxed with the cutting of the 82nd birthday cake in honor of the founding chairman of the West Midlands Communications Limited, Chief Muritala Adebayo Konde MFR, the Abese Olubadan of Ibadan land. Dignitaries present include the wife of the founding chairman, Chief Onikekbo Akonde, CON, High Chief Eddie Oyewole, Chief Kola Daisi, CCI President Chief Yemisi Adiaga, Chief Bayo Oyero, former CCI President, Emeritus Professor Niyi Oshindare, Professor Jide Owoye, among others. You're still listening to the news at 1 p.m. on Splash 105.5 FM. Still ahead, South Africa's ex-president Jacob Zuma hands himself over. And in sports, England beats Denmark to reach Euro 2020 final. We'll take a short break now. When we come back, we'll bring you details of these and other stories. Stay with us. Thanks so much for staying with us. Turning to the foreign scene now, South Africa's ex-president Jacob Zuma turned himself into prison late Wednesday to begin serving a 15-month sentence for contempt of court, his foundation has said. In a historic ruling, the Constitutional Court last week handed Zuma a 15-month term for snubbing anti-graft investigators. Police had earlier on Wednesday warned they were prepared to arrest the former president by a midnight deadline to enforce the ruling unless the top court instructed otherwise. But Zuma decided to make his way to an unnamed prison in his home province of KwaZulu-Natal. Middle East country Oman has extended the ban on international entries from Nigeria and 19 other countries to curb the further spread of coronavirus. This was contained in a statement issued by the Oman Government Communications Center. Other African countries affected are Tunisia, Ethiopia, Tanzania, South Africa, Sierra Leone, Ghana, Guinea, and Libya. Omani citizens, diplomats, health staff and their families are exempt from the ban and will be subject to entry procedures adopted by the Sultanate. The ban is to be enforced beginning by 5 p.m. on Friday, 9th of July 2021 until further notice. And finally, to sports now. England fed off the energy of a passionate Wembley crowd to beat Denmark 2-1 in the Euro 2020 semi-finals on Wednesday and now stand few minutes away from ending their 55-year trophy drought. Gareth Southgate's men will face Italy on Sunday, infused with belief they can win a first major event since the 1966 World Cup. For Euro 90 1992 champions, Denmark, defeat spells the end of a fairy tale run to the last four after the trauma of witnessing starman Christian Eriksen collapse in their first match. Despite the celebrations at Wembley, Sterling insisted the focus would almost immediately shift to the final against Italy. And just before we go, here's a quick recap of the major headline. The federal government is planning to fund 5.62 trillion naira budget deficit with extra loans. National Assembly PDP caucus has endorsed Southern Governor's resolutions. On the foreign scene, we told you that South Africa's ex-president Jacob Zuma has handed himself to prison. And in sports, England beat Denmark to reach Euro 2020 final. For more details on the news, you can visit our website on www.splashfm1055.com. Now you can download Splash FM mobile app on iOS, BlackBerry World and Google Play Store to listen live, get news updates and opinion poll. You can also report an event live to us through the iReport feature. To download, simply go to any of the stores mentioned and search FM 105.5 and then click to download. We've now come to the end of the news on Splash 105.5 FM, the Integrity Station and the best radio station in the southwest of the country. The news editor is Tunde Olawowo, assisted by Ayo Olubusi. I am Charity Jerome. Good afternoon. Thank you for listening.
Quick, charge at 240.